that is across the board. It deals with your Roman, your Greek, your Egyptian, your Norse, your Hindu, your Vodun, and your Yoruba. Now, and also your Kabbalah. Now, be sure to note that Roman and Greek, the first people in Rome that set up the actual language, that set up the actual gods and all that, was black people. The people in Greece that started the Greek language, that started the whole pantheon of the gods coming out of Egypt, was black people. You see? A lot of the scholars don't tell you that. The first Greeks were black. The first Romans were black. Your Sumerians and everything was black. Your first Aryans that the white boy is calling himself the Aryan nation were black people. You see what I'm saying? So now the language, now how in the hell can the white boy start a language, you see what I'm saying, in Greece when he couldn't even speak coming out of the caves? Well, it took him almost 100 years just to compile an English language. 100 years ago they had old English and it didn't even sound the same as it does now. So how in the devil can he come up overnight and develop a language like Greek? Come to find out that all your scholars, Plato, Aristotle, and all of those were black people that went to the doggone mystery system. Your Parthenon was built by black people. Your Roman government, the first part of Rome and all of the buildings and all of the actual setup of Rome was black people. Then just like you have in America, you had white people that came in and took it over. You see? Now you got Count Boney's account that said that the white man had to be taught how to speak. Coming out of the cave, so how in the devil can he do some Greece? You see what I'm saying? Start Greece. So now we're going to give the Greek ones because these are black people. You see? Now, so we're going to leave this list here because you need to start pouring libations. You see what I'm saying? Now, there's not a lot of people, because, see, we get into the technicality of it. Because when you don't deal with the spiritual world, it's got to be a technicality of what you do into the physical. So there's no, remember now, there's people in here, and there's another dimension where the people that you think are dead are waiting on you, because that's life and this is actually death. So the people that you think are gone, your people that died, if they haven't reincarnated, they're sitting here with you. And when you pull these particular, you conjure up these particular invocations or the libations, you bring them back, and that's the force to help you. You see what I'm saying? That's the force that helps you. Now the key to the whole thing is this. You need to start learning how to do these things within the last days. This is the stuff that can protect you. You pour your libations, you step outside, you go everywhere you want to go, you won't get shot, you won't get killed, and you won't get anything. Well, it's not a matter of protecting yourself from black people, but in the next couple of months, you might have to protect yourself from white people on a small scale. But I'm here to tell you today that they really don't have no juice. When we really get into what we're dealing with here today, they don't have no juice. And I'll tell you what I mean, because they're running scared, because they're dealing with me, and they're doing some things, and they're running scared. So now, some people say you got to get plants and all this with the plant. Look, get you a plant, and make sure you don't drown out your plant. You first libate the plant, because, see, I believe in pouring a good deal of libations. So the first thing I do, I'll say, Awas. We'll get into that particular deity in a few minutes. Then I go Ashe, and I libate my plant. Now we're going to go into, and you go Ashe. So, Awas. Ashe. Okay, now, let's get this bucket right here. We're getting ready to get down here. And I'm going to call out some gods. And I'm going to call out some gods. And, what's that?
When we have sisters that come in...
That's right. You know the deal, brothers. Any sister come in and ain't got no seat, unask the chairs. That's right. That's right. So if we see a sister coming up, you all get up out them chairs and let the sister sit down. You see what I'm saying? Or we'll put the Billy Bat Club on you. You see? Unask the chairs. You see what I'm saying? First of all, you will understand, you're going to say, I don't see how in the devil that brother there can be a holy man. Well, let me tell you something. 99% of what you think is holy, which you come to your preachers, that's because a white man set the doggone standard for that clown to be holy, and he ain't holy worth a doggone. You see what I'm saying? Because once you really get into the really spirituality, 99% of what you think is holy is not. That's called spiritual ceremony, and it has nothing to do with the real spirituality whatsoever. You see? 98% of the churches talk against the real spirituality, because if Jesus or whatever ever came back, they'd run from it. Because number one, it won't be no white man. Check. All right. So let's deal with this. Okay now. Okay, let me deal with some gods. Oh yeah, I want to call out these Enochian deities. Because last week we did the Enochian deities, and boy, they really cut up. And then we'll call out some Necronomicon deities. And it was interesting because I called out the Necronomicon deities, and because I got the sister that can see, they came into the radio station that night when I gave it over the radio. They was very happy to use their name because these names had not been uttered for the last, let's say, last 3, 4, 5,000 years. Okay. So now if this stuff sounds messed up, I say I don't really agree with that because I don't know about it, but remember, if it sounds strange, that means you're learning something. Because if it's something you know, don't need to be here, right? If you're not open for any additional information, well, no need in coming in the first place. Check? Yeah. That's the problem, like I said, that the preacher get over on you in the first place. If you go amen, that means he ain't teaching you nothing. And that's the problem with our people. They have been teaching you what you wanted to hear and not what you really needed to hear because they didn't know what you really needed to hear. That's called the art of public speaking. Tell a person what they want to hear and say nothing well. You can say nothing if you can say it well. That's emotionalism. You see, I went through 8 years of that in college where we had these public speakers come up. You see what I'm saying? Cornbread eating Negroes. And they'd come up and they would come into some stuff and they would be talking all this good stuff and people, yeah. But everybody's ignorant. You see what I'm saying? So also, too, it's not necessarily say you got to bear witness with what I'm dealing with. That's the African right to be wrong. And if everybody agreeing on the same thing, somebody wrong. You see? Check? Check. All right, then. So we need to get out of the public speaking as far as a person saying things well, saying nothing well, and playing on your emotion. 98% of the time when the preacher is hollering in the church, you can't understand what he's saying in the first place. But he's steady hollering and stuff, right? But you saying and you start crying and stuff because he's appealing to your emotion. Well, if you go to the Michael Jackson concert, they do the same doggone thing. You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing. That's emotion. They play on your emotion. They say when Elvis used to shake his behind, white girls would pull out their fingernails and didn't know that they pulled their fingernails out until the next morning. You see? So that's getting your emotion up to a certain level, and you thinking that's spiritual, that's emotionalism. You see? Check. That means that the man can come up and tell you Mickey Mouse is God. If he say it right, oh, Mickey Mouse, you might do the same thing. Check. You see? I see. Okay, now, let's call out some gods. Let me get these, I'm going to get these, I'm going to give a few of these Enochian deities. We'll explain what this is in a few minutes. The particular text that we are giving out now is text that the Moors went up in Spain and left at the University of Salamanca and the 16 other universities. And the white boys recovered the Enochian text about 200-300 years ago. About 200 years ago. And then after that, your Necronomiconic text, they recovered those texts in 1977. And after that, you had Son of Sam and all kind of crazy stuff started going on. So we'll tell you all about that. So right now, you don't need to be spooked out about nothing. Because you live in hell right now, and if you ain't scared of this white man, you ain't no sense in being scared of some devil that don't exist. Check. You really don't believe in God. The only reason why you go to church is because you scared of going to hell. Otherwise, you would not be bothered with that on Sunday. That's basically the way it is right now. Because I can go to the average Christian, and the Christian will have hard times. And I can tell him to really deal with the Spirit. And he said, I can't see the Spirit. And I really can't take that face value. You see what I'm saying? Check. Let's do this. All right, let's give a few Enochian deities, and then we'll go to the Necronomiconic deities. And it's good to do this for the simple fact when we pull these deities, what happens is the Spirit come in the room, and then we can get past a couple of hours, which you thinking is 2 hours, and you say, man, I've been here 5 hours. So let's put everybody under the spell. Now, for you people that's into the moralistic way of dealing with things, they say God is everywhere. So when we call out these different gods, it's not talking about different gods. It's talking about the different attributes of the one God, or the God one. Allah has 99 attributes. The Christians say God is everywhere. Well, in Egypt and in the ancient religions, they understood that the God had different components. And when you put them together like a puzzle, it represented the one God and the God one. Check. And at this particular time, I think everybody here should be adult enough to know that there's, I don't care what religion you talk about, there's no God different than the other God. It's all talking about the same gods. Check. All right then. Okay, let's deal with this. Ol, Ashe, Sanuk, Ashe, Borg, Ashe, Go-Go, Ashe, Iyad, Ashe, Bald, Ashe, Launch, Ashe, Kaz, Ashe, Vanpo, Ashe, Saraba, Ashe, Zal, Ashe, Ra, Ashe, I, Ashe, Ta, Ashe, Naseb, Ashe, Od, Ashe, Gra, Ashe, Ta, Ashe, Malgab, Ashe, Das, Ashe, Holo, Ashe. Okay, few more. And we can get down to business. All right, Ka, Ashe, Nafa, Ashe, Zimaz, Ashe, Od, Ashe, Kama, Ashe, Ta, Ashe, Nabla, Ashe, Zana, Ashe, Saba, Ashe, Thiel, Ashe, Nanap, Ashe, Frog, Ashe, Aldi, Ashe, Das, Ashe, Urbs, Ashe, Boha, Ashe, Gramas, Ashe, Kasam, Ashe, Osharala, Ashe, Koba, Ashe, Pa, Ashe, Nanbab, Ashe, Kab, Ashe, Ad, Ashe, Zuram, Ashe, Od, Ashe, Zama, Ashe, Adna, Ashe. Okay, Necronomica. Azathos, Ashe, Yosathos, Ashe, Nilahetep, Ashe, Hastar, Ashe, Cthulhu, Ashe, Subnigaroth, Ashe. Okay, few more. Let's deal with this. Osa, Ashe, Aset, Ashe, Ra, Ashe, Patah, Ashe, Sekmet, Ashe, Sashet, Ashe, Seket, Ashe, Anpu, Ashe, Tahuti, Ashe, Mayat, Ashe, Mat, Ashe, Sut, Ashe, Sutnesi, Ashe, Sutnubit, Ashe, Typhon, Ashe, Tayamat, Ashe, Hedheru, Ashe, Aset, Ashe, Raherukahuti, Ashe, Harpocrates, Ashe, Kether, Ashe, Shakma, Ashe, Bina, Ashe, Chesed, Ashe, Tippereth, Ashe, Natsad, Ashe, Had, Ashe, Yasad, Ashe, Malkuth, Ashe, Brahman, Ashe, Vishnu, Ashe, Brahmini, Ashe, Kali, Ashe, Shakti, Ashe, Shiva, Ashe, Indasuda, Ashe, Sita, Ashe, Hanuman, Ashe, Lakshmi, Ashe, Jinsia, Ashe, Dambawalawedo, Ashe, Maraka, Ashe, Bridget, Ashe, Adamgwadi, Ashe, Ogu Farelli, Ashe, Ogu Shango, Ashe, Urzuli, Ashe, Legba, Ashe, Edowedo, Ashe, Zaka, Ashe, Alafi, Ashe, Abatala, Ashe, Adudawa, Ashe, Arunla, Ashe, Ogun, Ashe, Shango, Ashe, Oshun, Ashe, Elegba, Ashe, Iminja, Ashe, Arisha Oku, Ashe, Oya, Ashe, Gaya, Ashe, Awas, Ashe, Muewas, Ashe, Thunderdog, Ashe, Patanata Unra, Ashe, Layla, Ashe, Allah, Ashe. A few more, let's see. A few more. Ashe, come on, give me some gods, come on. Melchizedek, Ashe, Metatron, Ashe, Medura Atan, Ashe, Atan, Ashe, Adani, Ashe, Ashe. Come on with it. Ashe. Ashe, I already did the Yoruba. Let's get a few more water. Okay. Ashe. Okay, let's see. I think we got enough right now for that particular part. Okay, now what we're going to deal with this time, to all gods known and unknown. Ashe. Okay, now, like I say before, I call out 3 of my family members. Well, I'm going to call out Carol Lorraine Meadows. Ashe. Let's see, Irene Shaw. Ashe, Raymond Shaw. Ashe, Mabel D. Ford. Ashe, Ali Hemmitt Sr. Ashe, Grandmother Hemmitt. Ashe, Ali Hemmitt Jr. Ashe, to all my family members. Ashe. Now, let's do this. I'm going to count them 1, 2, 3 and start calling out your family members. 1, 2, 3. Ashe. 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 To all gods known and unknown. Ashe. To all ancestors known and unknown. Ashe. Okay. All right. Let's get through this again. I feel it's fair to start with this every time we open up, because if you don't learn nothing, you need to know this within the next couple of weeks, next couple of months. You ain't got a year. Believe it. Okay? Let's deal with this. Psalms, you can write it down now. I always tell people to write these down. If you got a pencil, write these down. Next time somebody step to you and say that you crazy, you show them this right in the Holy Bible. Why we say the Holy Bible? Because we know the Quran and we know the rest of them. But remember now, North America, before we was Muslims, we was Christians, right? So if you're going to get your people, you're going to have to go right through that book. Check? Check. All right, so we put the Bible in the face. Okay, let me know when y'all ready. Oh, that's popping off. Now, good. Okay, let me put this on. I guess I'll clip it the right way, because see, what happens with these is, these must be some good kind, because when I pour those libations and that aura comes up, it just knocked these out. When I was up in New York, and every place I go out, like in Detroit, New York, Philadelphia, these things just blink out. But it's an Alwo thing, so we gonna see if it works here in the home front of Atlanta. Now, and God standeth, this is Psalms 82, verse 1. And God standeth on the congregation of the mighty, and he judges among the gods. Well, I thought there was supposed to be no gods before him. But he's judging among the gods. Check? Okay, it explains in the next chapter. John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36. John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36, and Psalms 82, verse 1 to 6. John chapter 10, verse 34 to 36, and Psalms 82, verse 1 to 6. And Romans chapter 8. Now, it says that you are the heirs of God. Well, if you're the heir and that's your father, which has a mother, we'll get into that later. It ain't just this the father. If you are the heirs, that means that you are the direct descendants of the royal bloodline of your father. As above, so below. And if you are heirs, you are joint heirs with the Christ, which means that the Christ didn't have nothing in him or nothing about him that you didn't have in you. It's just that he is the Christ figure and the example to be like. That's when he says, be ye perfect as I am. Now, there can't be two perfects. Perfect means perfect. And perfect means an exact duplication from what he is. Well, if you are lesser than Jesus Christ, which is just one of the Christs, they used to pump out Christ every day in the ancient world. Christ was not just one person. If you were supposed to be perfect like Jesus Christ, that means that you have the science to be duplicate of what he is. You see what I'm saying? This is the whole deal on everything we're dealing with now is becoming gods. You see? He said, just as I have done great works, greater works ye shall do. Right? Now, the other chapter is, there's another one, Psalms chapter 8, verse 3 to 6. And for some people, I don't know how many people found this Moroni. I think it's in some of the other biblical texts because you know the King James Version ain't the only Bible. So there's several, I think this is in one of the lost books, Moroni chapter 10, verse 4 to 5, if you can find it. So now, that's the key on what's going down. Becoming gods. Now, like I said before, I talk on what is called esoteric teachings of the occult, which only mean that which is hidden. Hidden from you for the last 140 years or 180 years since the cracker translated hieroglyphics of Medunetta. You see? So now don't compare me with the rest of the people because those are historians. And they are actually, even though they're saying that's our story, that's actually his story. Because our story goes back millions of years. And you don't have none of them accounting for that. But now we have uncovered the actual stuff that just throws all chronology that you have been teaching, be ASCAC or whatever, It throws that out the door when the doggone Sphinx that sit in the middle of the earth is now 80,000 years old. Now, if the Sphinx is 80,000 years old, somebody had to build it, and it wasn't no doggone ape man. Now, there ain't no text out here to say that you come from apes, but yet Asa Hilliard, yet Charles Finch, and also Ivan Van Sertima say you came from ape people. Check. That's nothing but a family of different types of apes that was on the world, but you live concurrently with them, as well as the dinosaurs or whatever. You see, there's different accounts of these particular things all around the world. You predate all that because you came straight from the Godhead on where all sacred texts say you came from. Mainly the star system Sirius. The ones that will be coming back soon and going to be coming back right up out of you to kill this cracker. Straight up. Now for the people that's still thinking that everybody, remember, people keep saying, well listen, verify your text on where you say the white man is the devil. Right? Or what we would call a biological mutation. Well, hell, you can look at him and tell you a biological mutation. See what I'm saying? No developmental, no lip, no behind, none of that. Now, but for all you scholars out here, now you can challenge me on this because I put out a book and I had so much documents coming from the ancient world on where the white man was the doggone biological mutation that I had to stop printing this stuff. It started coming so much. Now, in scholar, I want to get on this white man thing first. You see, we got to lock you into this thing. You see. Now, in scholarship, you have theory until you have the archaeological or anthropological evidence to prove that the theory is either right or wrong. Right? Now, the archaeological and anthropological evidence is at the temple of Seti I in Egypt and at the tomb of Biblium El Manuk, which is the tomb of Ramesses V, where on the temple walls they tell you that the white boy, which was the Tamahu, Tama which means created, and Hu which means white, which is the lighter part of another Hu that means black, but Tamahu which means the created white people. It goes at the bottom of the temple and says what? That the Nessi, which is an ancient black man, and the Ruti, which is an ancient black man, created the Tamahu. You see? Now, that particular temple of Seti I was a whole complete temple in the late 1800s. And they never show any pictures of that particular temple. By the time we got another temple of that particular temple, we got another picture in 1989. They had completely torn down the temple and removed the bas-reliefs. But you can find the actual information on that in Diop's book, African Origins of Civilization, Myth and Reality. Go and look in the particular part about the Tamahu. Just look in the index and read up on the Tamahu. Also, you can find the passage that I just quoted from you in Gerald Massey's book, Book of the Beginning, Volume 1, page 27. There are pictures in Dr. Ben's book from Giza to Abu Simbel where they show you the Temple of Seti I. I have pictures of the Temple of Seti I with these bas-reliefs came out of, and I have the actual pictures, and it's two different temples from the late 1800s to the late 1800s to 1989 when they showed the new pictures. They completely tore it down and built it back again. Now, he's a biological mutation. We have so much evidence on that that we don't have to get into the white boy being a biological mutation. We can just act on the man's actions alone. You see, now, I guess this is a town meeting. Let's get to some hard copy first. What we call the Afrocentric hard copy. Check? All right. Okay. The sister came last week and told me that they had already started picking up the black people in the projects down here. Well, let me explain. Got some other information. She said it was a group of people from FEMA that rolled up. You can raise your hand back there. And you can get a little more detailed information from her on what their account was. And I'll tell you what we have gotten in the last week. It was a group of people that rolled up on the projects. What homes was it? Techwood. Okay, Techwood. You know they got to wipe them out first because they got that whole Olympic thing going on, and they don't want them Negroes around that new village. You see what I'm saying? Like I say, they built 2 doggone football fields for the Negroes in the AVU Center, but the white people got dormitories. Knowing everybody, no, we need more dormitories than anything. Now they rolled up on the people in Techwood, she said, and started cleaning. How many was it that they picked up? Lost track. Well, see, that's a lot of brothers. And they rolled up on and said, one brother tried to get away, jumped on the MARTA bus and all this type of thing, and ended up not being able to drive it, right? He was trying to drive it, right? And jumped out the window, which she said, and got cut all up, and they got him too. And she said at the same time, she had the reports of the same thing happened in California, doing it at the same precise time. Now, we do know in 92, with the first uprising, that they arrested 10,000 black men, and only 1,000 of them came out of jail. You see what I'm saying? Now, they said they had reported trucks going upstate California, and they said when they asked questions, they said, oh, we're just trying to train some black people how to work for the workforce. All right. Now, we do know that they have the concentration camps all over the place. Now, we got other reports that a train, and I have to keep saying this, the last 4 or 5 lectures, a train derailed in 1991. And on that train that derailed in 1991, they found a train full of shackles. And they're saying that was just one boxcar. They don't know how many got through. You see? And that was in 1991. Now, 2 weeks ago, one of my friends was working down in Valdosta, Georgia, was unloading trains. And during the break, they was messing around and they ran up on a train that was full of shackles. Well, some of you pessimistic people will say, well, hey, that's just for the prison system. But these shackles was made into the trains. See what I'm saying? That's like that slave ship thing, but we do know they used the whole railroad thing to transport black people, the Japanese, and put them in the concentration camps in World War II. You know, go look at your movie Geronimo, because they used the trains to transport them from the west to Florida. Now, supposedly they have concentration camps that's set up in Oregon, some of the main centers. And these particular concentration camps, based on your King Alfred plan, which is the Rex 84 edition that Ronald Reagan revised, they have them set up mainly in Oregon, but they got them set up throughout the entire United States. Now, we know that 1979, Jimmy Carter refurbished so many concentration camps that they locked the Japanese up in World War II. In 1989, George Bush closed down 5 Army bases. And in 1993, the man that you voted on, the white Jesus Christ, Bill Clinton, closed down another 5 Army bases. So that's over 20. So now, and last week, they started closing down another one. And last week, we think between the time of last week, they closed down 10 more Army bases. So they got enough Army bases to incarcerate you. And if you've been watching the TV, Senator Graham, the one that was running for president in Florida, in Texas, what did he say? They asked him about crime. He said, if we got to strap barbed wire on every concentration camp, we're going to lock these niggas down. You see what I'm saying? Now we got reports all of a sudden of this thing happening with the brothers in the projects. Now, under the House of Representative Bill 79, the House of Representative Bill 79, they have a special task force. And that particular special task force hit the projects in Chicago and the whole South Side, so many mile radius, and they started locking down people, and they locked down the whole projects. And they found out they was checking ID cards. And if you didn't live in that area, let's say you were just visiting your cousin, you got locked up. And that is the federal law that they can confiscate your home and put it up for market. Now, you know about the House of Representatives 666 bill. HP 666, which I think they already got it in. They're supposed to voted on it about a week ago. Where they can come in and break in your house without a search warrant. Huh? They voted it out 17 minutes. So that mean they didn't vote for it? They voted it in. Okay, they voted it in, so that means they voted it in. The HP 666 bill that is under, the person who was lobbying this was the same person named Bill Pullman. No, let me get this right name. Bill Coleman. Bill Coleman, who was, in actuality, the same person who wrote the new crime bill. You see? He wrote the new crime bill, and that particular person that voted this particular thing in, so now they can break in your house. Well, hell, they was breaking in Negroes' houses anyway without a doggone search warrant. So now what you can think they're doing when it's legal. Right? Now that leads us to the Freaknik. Because the Freaknik, because we just was riding down and we heard a brother on the radio. He was telling about all the zones and stuff on the radio. But he was doing all this joking and stuff. You see, even though he was doing all this comedy stuff, so you can't, when you for warfare, you can't be doing joking, because even though the brother was serious bringing this information, the people take it light when you joking about these things. So, you know, he started using the comedian style to say this stuff, and the whole deal was, even though he was serious, there's a certain time you got to cut out bull jive. It's time to roll. You see? Now, that particular, he said that they got all this stuff locked down. Now, we do know now, based on Steve Coakley that came, 2 weeks ago, that said that the Negro Boule, which everybody should know your Negro Boule, them your Negroes, that's the advisors to the king, what's that, Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and I thought I brought the Boule list with me, the one for Atlanta. But if not, I'll give it to Sister Afriquita. She'll get it on the radio. And I don't think I brought it with me. But anyway, he went to the Boule convention last summer, and Vernon Jordan, who was the keynote speaker, was saying in his keynote speech that they're supposed to stop the Freaknik. So everybody thinking it's Bill Campbell. Now everybody thinking that Vernon Jordan and the Boule, and the Negro Boule, only thing they do is carry out the wishes of the white man. So if you know Vernon Jordan is who? The right-hand man to doggone Bill Clinton. You know, every time Bill Clinton on the boat, he got to take a token nigger with him, and the next thing he on the boat smiling too. So he's the right-hand man, and which is actually a tragedy, because he grew up right there in the Fair Street bottom. Now here's a brother grew up in the projects, you see, and loved the white man worse than the white man, better than the white man loves himself. See what I'm saying? So we know if he was the one that was going to the Boule to set the standard of what they was going to tell the mayor in Atlanta to stop the Freaknik, we know that the actual Freaknik came down, the orders came down from the White House. Now, why did the orders come down from the White House? Because for those particular people that have heard my shows, we talk about the African tribe, the Dogon, in Africa, that did this sacred dance, and that particular sacred dance that they do is supposed to get you out of your mess that you in. Everybody was waiting for this sacred dance. Well, the same time that they was doing the sacred dance in Africa, on April the 23rd, 1994, the black people was partying down. The Spirit made sure that the black people was partying down in Atlanta, because that's the western and the eastern horizon. So it scared the devil out the doggone white boy, and the white boy had to stop this thing. But they're using it now to lock down black people. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to do the first rush on the Freaknik, because they're going to let you know, despite all your doggone education and you think the white man love you, that they're going to crack your doggone college students and your children in the head to let you know that this cracker saying we don't give a damn, a nigger is a nigger is a nigger is a nigger. And you better start learning this stuff right now. If you think that cracker love you, you understand what I'm saying? Okay now, just remember, he already did it before, so many thousands of times. So now, let's deal with some other things. First of all, I want to say a few things that's going down that you didn't understand. Back in 1991, the Atlanta Braves. Now, first of all, let me say this. Now, how can Bill Campbell go to Washington, D.C. a month ago and say that they're losing money because the Braves are not playing in town? And because of the Braves not playing, they're losing millions of dollars. And because Atlanta was so stupid to give up their star basketball player, he was big enough started the Boston Celtics say, we got to have him. Dominique Wilkins, until now, they have what they call it, they don't have anybody. These seats are not even being sold in the Omni. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, they got whole sections that's closed down. So as far as the sports is concerned, the reason why he traveled, he said, we at least got to get the Braves going on. And all these mayors traveled, they said, because they supposed to have been losing money. Now, how in the devil are you supposed to be losing money, and you're going to turn down $22 million in 2 days in Atlanta, 3 days in Atlanta? That don't make no sense. Not unless that he's being run by the man. Now, you got to understand these particular Negroes, because remember now, Bill Campbell, the people who put him in that worked on his campaign was the college students. You see, but ultimately, you know that Bill Campbell ain't got no power. His job just like yours. You see? He ain't got no power. He got a boss just like Bill Clinton got a boss. Bill Clinton got about as much power as you. You see what I'm saying? So ultimately we understand it didn't make a difference if the black people put him in. He understood he got to do what the cracker tells him to do. Check. All right now. So now, we're dealing with, also with the Atlanta Braves. Remember about back in 91. The Indians, I'm going to show you the power that we got now. The white boy cycle is out now. And he's actually pulling a wolf ticket on you. Now, remember the Indians came to them in 91 and told them to stop the tomahawk chop. And they didn't stop it, and as a matter of fact, they never was able to win a championship, not because they lost, they was beating everybody the whole season. You see what I'm saying? There was nobody could beat them, but they got all the way to the champion, didn't even make it the last time, and what happened? They lost. That's because the Indians put the doggone mojo on their behind. That means that, you see? That let you know, cracker, in this day, in the spiritual warfare, when we say we run the show and your time is up, you understand? You can't come with no bull jive when we tell you what to do. And it's fast, and when you learn these particular things and learn and start having faith in yourself, the cracker ain't got no more control over you. See what I'm saying? He don't run the show. His time is up. Right, now, they're dealing with these lukewarm Negroes. Now, the book you need to get, for you serious study, you need to buy a book called A Beginner's Guide to Revelations. For you that don't know, the revelation that you talking about supposed to come already started. It's been here since doggone August. Last August. We are right in the middle of this thing, and all you got to do is turn on your TV. Anytime it snows in Egypt. Now, do you know Egypt is a desert, and they ain't never had snow at all. You understand what I'm saying? And about a month ago, it snowed in Egypt. And the snow is rain if it don't stick. But the snow stuck enough to kill about 6 people. Now, that's you understand the damn, excuse the expression, the equator. It snowed on the equator. Because the Spirit is saying all what is not. In the book of Revelation, they say, I behold, the 6th seal will open and what? A great earthquake will appear. Well, it couldn't have been the one in 1989 in San Francisco. That wasn't big enough and stuff. It killed a few people on the highway or whatever. You see? And it sure wasn't the one last year. But you know, if you have seen this earthquake, you know that this thing was a miraculous earthquake. And if they say there's 6,000 died, you can count another 6,000. Because hell, they ain't even dug up the buildings yet. You see what I'm saying? So how do they know? And I mean, the thing was demolished. So now we're right in the middle. So this book is Beginner's Guide to Revelation by Robin Robertson. Check. Because you're going to find out that the Revelation did not come from the Christian writers. It's an older book. And everything that you think is not. And that's what we're going to deal with today. Okay, now, we want to get to one part in here where they talk about the lukewarm people. And you know the lukewarm people. If it's any time for you to really get serious about getting into some real deal consciousness or doing the black thing. You know how some black people, oh, we want to do the black thing on the weekend. Now, you're a black person, black in 150 midnights, but you can only be black when you go to a doggone conscious show. See what I'm saying? No, you better be black, and I mean really seriously understand what's going on. So we're dealing with the lukewarm people. Now it says, when this is the battle in which reality is not a battle at all, because the forces have long since been lost. That's called talking about the white boy. You see what I'm saying? They say they don't even exist. They have merely been allowed a short period of time to rule over you. See? And their time is up now. And after the battle is over, with the Christ forces, well, who are the Christ forces? Is it not written in your law that ye are gods, and every one of you can rise to Christ? Christ is not just one person. There's thousands of Christs. You see what I'm saying? And we don't even want to get into that type stuff because we know, I think you're supposed to know this fool now. Even your Bible say that. The kingdom of heaven is within. The Christ forces, of course, are triumphant. That's you. We'll deal with that in a few minutes. Now, the beast and his false prophet, there's 2 beasts in the book of Revelation. The one beast is the beast on top of the ground, the false prophet. And the other beast is the beast 666, which is in you that we're going to break down today. So, okay, see? You want to get into some knowledge, but we don't know if you can take it. Check. Don't worry, you ain't going to hell, because you live in hell. And like I say, if the hell with a man with a red pitchfork running around with some tights on. That's got to be a resort area. And the damn boiling water got to doggone be a jacuzzi. But with the hell that you've been catching, check. And like Carly said, you bring that devil with the red pitchfork, with the red tights and the pitchfork on top of the ground, and I guarantee our devil will run him back up under the ground. You see, the white man has surpassed anything that's ever been written in mythology about a devil. You see what I'm saying? So when we write his history, we got to have an Encyclopedia Britannica just to explain all the stuff he has done, because he has broke all laws of God. Check. All right. It says that the false prophet and those that are cast alive into a burning fire of brimstone, they're not dealing with no place of no heaven. The fire is within you. That's your kundalini, your spine, and that's how you're going to fight him, with the powers that's inside of you. That's why he got to lock you down, because he know when the sun rises, you're going to rise. Check. All you can see, the beautiful part about this, I know it's going to sound crazy, but the problem about this is all you got to do, we in the hour of witness bearing. So you can say, well, that nigga crazy, but it don't make a difference. You're going to bear witness to this thing true. I mean, in a few weeks, a few months. But the good part about it is, all black people going to make this thing. You see what I'm saying? You don't know the joys and the riches that's coming down the pipes for you, because you done suffered enough. You see what I'm saying? And you God's people. You got to understand that. Check. Now, it says that the false prophet and those, here's the point I want to say. Boom, I want to get to the particular part. It says, in other words, are like most of us. They're talking about the doggone lukewarm people like most of us. Just ignoring the world around us, not taking sides, and not getting involved. Just taking care of their own needs. You understand what I'm saying? Your own needs, because the false prophet got you hooked. You steady studying about that foolishness he put in them all. And in actuality, the only thing you need is a house over your head and some food in your stomach. But you into the false prophet stuff where you got to have all that stuff that the cracker put in them all. And it's an insanity. I was in Linux the other day, and I saw some nice stuff, and immediately I started saying, man, I got to get some money. I say, wait a minute, hold on. That's the spell. That's the spell. When you go in there, you see these, that's the spell. He who loves this world will surely lose it. And he who hates this world will inherit the kingdom of heaven. Right? You see what I'm saying? Now, all right, now you know the deal. Y'all brothers, get up off them chairs when the sisters come in, because the sisters are gods. Now, what the deal is this. The whole lukewarm thing is you're in a spell, and you got to get out this particular spell. Now, let me tell you the deal on this, the reason why you think, because I got a friend that said he wanted to start speaking on the New World Order, but he went to seminary, and now he's like the assistant pastor of a church, and already he having problems. They don't want to hear it. You see, the white churches, they speaking on this every day. White churches, they dealing with the New World, they dealing with the thing, and you turn on the radio, they talking about it. Black churches ain't talking about nothing. Going to heaven. When I get to heaven, I'm going to put on my shoes and walk all over God's heaven. Why is this? And why is it that the major churches are coming down on the brother? That is because the major churches are under what is called the tax exempt law. Now, what's that law? See something, 50136. C6. 501c3, ain't it? It says 501c3, which is the tax exempt. All your black churches and your black colleges, all started by the Freedmen's Bureau, you see, at the same time, to give you a false sense of you gotta get, I want to die and I want to see the Lord and all this kind of thing here, and everybody, and we shall overcome. To give you this foolishness, because they can control how far you go with what religion that they done messed up of yours and gave back to you, and what education they gave back to you, and you done had 140 years of both the black church and black colleges, and yes, you in the worst shape. You see what I'm saying? Now, the key to that is because them being under the tax exempt law, the major churches, your AME churches,